Hey there, it's Roslyn here. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm making a cute Valentine's card for my husband, and I'm using these two sets from Lawn Fawn. This one's called Stud Puffin, and I haven't used it yet, so I was really excited to use that for his Valentine. And I'm going to take this itty bitty flower from Hey There so I can accessorize the female penguin. So to color up these cute puffins, I'm bringing in my Copic markers. The first marker I used was C9, which is my darkest cool tone marker. And that I put on the end of its tail and under its little wing on the right. I decided to come in with C7 for my second darkest color and tried to blend that out with a C5, but the C5 I determined was too light for my liking. So I went over that again with C7, and then once I got most of that colored in on its body, then I came in with my C5. I wanted to keep these puffins quite dark without losing much detail, and this is how I ended up coloring them. I do fuss around a bit back and forth with the colors once my colors have dried a bit, just to blend them out a little bit more. So since I fuss so much, I am skipping over the second puffin, and we're going to move on to their bellies. I brought in the C1 marker here just to outline that a little bit, and then I'm going to color the rest in with C0, just so it's not super stark white, and also adding a little bit of C0 to their faces. For their little feet, I'm using YR16 and YR07 just to give it a little bit of detail around the edges, and also using that YR07 for the tip of their beaks, and then for that middle stripe there, that's going to be C3. And to give them a little bit more cheeriness, I'm going to color their cheeks in with R11, and I think that looks really soft and subtle, and it gives it a little bit extra. So for the fish, I picked out BG72 for the entire body, and then I'm going to go in here with BG78 and just sort of go halfway down its body and just add a few little dots just to make it look sort of like scales, a little bit more interesting than just a plain colored in fish. For the little flower, I used RV06 and brought back in the YR16 for the middle. I fussy cut these out, and as you can see, I left a white border on the puffins, but went right to the edge with for the fish and the flower, just because they're going to be glued on top of my images, so I wanted to eliminate the white border on those items. And so this little puffin is going to be giving the other puffin a nice fish for Valentine's Day, and to denote that that's me giving it to my husband, I'm going to put a little flower in her hair. I'm bringing out this die from Your Next Stamp. It's a new to me die, and it's called Rainbow Heart Die Set. It cuts one solid heart, and it also cuts a heart with stripes. Now you can use this as a rainbow. I chose to take some pattern paper from Sunny Studios in reds and pinks with little hearts on them and alternate them. You could also do an ombre effect and go from light to dark with a heart like that. I think that would look really nice. And here I'm showing you how I lined up my paper to cut that striped heart. Because the papers are the same, I line them up and cut them at the same time so that the patterns would basically line up. And since they are a tone on tone, it's very subtle, and if they don't line up perfectly, that's perfectly okay. And I'm just going to get these stripes attached to this heart here. So I'm just going to add some adhesive all around the heart so that it's easy for me to then lay down these little strips of paper here. Just making sure that my adhesive isn't hanging over that heart. And I chose a pink cardstock heart just so that it wouldn't be noticeable on my card, but you can cut that in any color that you want. It just helps you line up that heart, but it also gives you another entirely different die cut if you just want to use the heart on its own. And I really like how this red and pink for Valentine's Day looks together. So I'm going to move on to my sentiments. I cut a piece of white cardstock from one of the fancy wavy banners from Lawn Fawn. And as you can see, the die is solid. So we must cut it out first and then stamp, or else we won't know how to line up that die around our sentiment. So I'm going to line this up in my stamping platform to make this easier, because I'm using a sentiment from How You Been Conversation Hearts add-on that says Happy Valentine's Day, and it doesn't curve. So I'm going to make it curve. I set it down where I'd like it on my banner, sort of diagonally there, so that the Valentine's is sort of in the middle. And then I'm going to go back and forth and manipulate that stamp. Because they are flexible, we can make it how we like it. Lawn Fawn does have some sentiments that go along with these wavy borders. I just didn't have anything for Valentine's Day, but this works too. I'm going to stamp that in the same black ink, and there we go. It looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. And moving on to my secondary sentiment, which is from the Stud Puffin set. It says, "To my Stud Puffin," which is super cute. I'm going to stamp that with the same black ink on the same white cardstock. And I'm going to cut that out with a fishtail banner from Photoplay Paper. And this set is called Number 9 Build a Window Set. It comes with a bunch of different shapes that you can use on their own or build a window on your slimline cards. So I'm just going to line that up and run it through my die cutting machine, and poof, that's what it looks like. Love it. And now that my ink is dry on my first banner, I'm going to fold it. The die actually makes some scoring lines, so I just work those score lines in and out, and then I'm able to form my banner. You want to fold back and then forward, and this sort of gives you a three-dimensional look. So next I'm bringing in a Your Next Stamp die called Rectangle Scallop Frames with Piercing Marks. I've been wanting this die for quite some time, and I just got it, so I thought it would be perfect to use on this Valentine's card. I've cut it out twice from like an aqua color and a pink color, and I was inspired by Crafty Mama Diaries on YouTube to combine the pink and the aqua, and I think it looks fantastic. So Helen, if you're watching, you've inspired me. I'm going to add some temporary adhesive to the inside of my card so that it doesn't pop up when I'm trying to decorate the front of my card. I'm taking that aqua rectangle there, and I'm just placing that generally in the center of the card as best as I can. And I'm going to use some liquid glue here to just get around my frame and get that adhered to my card. Then we'll be able to bring in our other elements that we've done and finish off this card. So I'm going to bring in that heart, and I'm going to bring in my little puffins here, and there she is giving that her stud puffin a nice yummy fish. And I'm going to adhere that heart down, and I've decided since I'm not mailing it, I'm going to add some dimension. So I'm picking these 3D adhesive squares from Scrapbook Adhesives, and these are the regular ones, so they are quite thick, and I just cut them down how I need them so that it fits on my image. But since I'm not mailing this, I don't think I needed as many, but it's a force of habit, I guess. So they are going to go on the striped heart there. and I like how that looks. If you were going to mail a card like this, you could just use regular adhesive. And I decided to pop up this secondary sentiment as well with those same adhesive squares. And for my wavy banner, I decided to take some thin 3D squares here because it is folded. I could have backed that with some cardstock, but I decided to take the thin 3D squares, also by scrapbook adhesive, and add those along the main part of the sentiment, and add some liquid glue to the end fishtails on that banner. And after I got this glued down, I noticed that I could have used the thicker foam squares on that. I think it would have been nice as well. This just gives it a tiny bit of dimension where it is folded. And then I'm just going to glue down the edges of that banner so that it lays a little bit more flat. And of course, the adhesive eraser comes in to play. When we get a little messy, we want to clean up our card with the adhesive eraser. And I'm bringing in these resin hearts from Stampin' Up. I got this when I bought my first stamp set from Stampin' Up. The lady just threw these in, and I'm using 3 little white ones to embellish that. And I'm going to take off that adhesive on the inside. And that is it for me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy Valentine's Day. Take care. Bye-bye.